Hey guys, it's me Pinky. Today we had another update. One of the main things in the update was Uma's Awakening, which we could actually see some time ago. It was already in-game and then it got removed. We all were curious when Uma would come, and now we finally have her. So let's take a look inside the commander. Uma's commander you get from the pass. If you're free to play, you can slowly get her with the pass medals. It's one of the few free to play commanders that has 3 fighting stats, like most commanders have. 2 for fighting and 1 for resources, research, anything. But she has spearman attack, enemy cav health reduction, and enemy defense reduction. And of course, if you awaken her, then her stats will be higher than 30, 15, and 10. As you can see, I made mine already 2 stars. That has a very simple reason, and that is she gives combat rate and aptitude, and she's free to play, and so she gets awakened with the free-to-play tokens, so it felt very cheap for me to get her for 2 stats, so why not? As always, the main question with an awakened commander is the awakening skill, because some people might want to use her in stuff like PvP or an ultimate tournament, wherever you want to use her. So there's the question, is her awakening actually good and useful? And for that, let's just go over the Viper's Secret Order. That's the name of her ability. 5 seconds after the battle begins, when Yuma casts an active army skill, she will inflict a disarm status on an enemy lineup with death markers for 4 seconds. If there are no lineups with death markers, a random lineup will be targeted. Triggers up to 2 times in the battle. Cooldown is 10 seconds. Yeah, well, if you have her 4 stars, she will attack every 10 seconds, so I don't really understand why cooldown is 10 seconds. And then there's the question, how good is this awakening skill? Because it's targeted to work with Arya, which inflicts death markers, which raise Arya's commander damage. But then there's always the problem, what if Arya attacks first and then Yuma attacks, and then you get really nothing out of the disarm, because you want to disarm the enemy here just to be able to get the reward from the death markers if you have Arya's main hand. Because you see, you can't miss, you will be disarmed, but there's no missing chance or anything included, so it's just to trigger Arya's skill, or maybe Annie's, but if you have Annie and use that with Annie, it's fully random. So there are actually a few things to notice. The first thing is, of course, if you have Layla, and Layla will multi-proc Arya. Arya hits, then gets a multi-proc from Layla, and then Uma hits and disarm, and then Arya hits again and again and again. She gets the reward of her main hand. And there's also the possibility you have Salma, then in the first second of the fight you're not able to trigger this, so Arya can put up the first death marker on an enemy. And then, if Uma triggers first at 10 seconds, she will disarm the lineup already hit by Arya, and then Arya will hit a disarmed enemy, and she will reroll the enemy. Always the case has to be Arya needs a main hand. Now is the question, how reliable is that? And since I didn't know, I did look into it. So I just attacked the rebel group to find out if the order of your commanders from left to right has anything to do with the order they will attack one after another. And in the first second, it's kind of random, because you see Annie attacks first, then Salma attacks, then Layla attacks, then Lyanna attacks. But I guess that's because everyone will be checked. Do I proc with Salma? And then first one that says, hey, here, I will proc with Salma, will attack. But if you check second 11, which would be the first second where Yuma would do her disarm effect, then you will see it's Lyanna, then it's Annie, then it's Layla, then it's Salma. And if you check for the enemy, it's Jamie, Latskaren, Hector, Diana, and Peter. And if you check that with the order of the commanders, you will see the left commander will always attack first. The second left will attack second. The third left will attack third, and so on. So it's always from left to right. To prove that, we have the same order for the enemy again, and the same order for me. You will see I'm also hit by disharmony, which makes it a bit more random, but the order is still the same. It's always from left to right. So you can actually make it reliable that Yuma uses her effect first, and then Arya uses her effect second. And now is the question, how good is that? To be honest, I'm not sure. But if you use Aria with your females anyways, and if you think about that we have now the new badges, we have the new gear, we have Caster Skin Awakening, so a lot of possibilities. We have the main hands to get more and more stats from other sources than Awaken commanders. You could totally run with something like females and squeeze her in for someone else, just so your Aria does hit even harder, or does hit disarm people so she can reroute. Also, Ari's effect, the disarm effect will only hit twice, but that also means soon in the fight. And if you think about it, if you have Salma, you will have one hit where she can't hit, you will have a hit at 10 seconds, another hit at 20 seconds, and then at 30 seconds you have your last commander attack, and there it won't be active, but then your troop numbers will be lower anyways, so the effect will be kind of smaller. So in the end, this would be my normal go-to formation with females. Either you don't have all these commanders yet, because you're still going for some, then you can squeeze in Yuma until you can replace her. Or it could be possible that Yuma will in the future work better than, for example, Liana Waters, because Liana Waters simply just gives you stats, and Yuma gives you another effect that could outgrow the stats with the red badges, red gear, and other stuff that might come in the future. So I think for a free-to-play commander, she's kinda good, and worth to try out. If you still need a 5th female commander, or if you're on the way to get your paid commanders, then hey, why not? If you have all the big commanders, of course, it will be harder and harder to get her inside.